slides. I now get to the December in time to introduce my work, so I had to show it to you by video. What I'm going to talk about today is novel social media depression program. As we all know, depression has become one of the most common mental disorders. It has affected more than 300 million people. The process for depression detection is very complex, and it is difficult to diagnose depression at the early stages. So social media like Twitter, Facebook contains billions of user data. It allows.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to know if you can listen to the presentation.
Yes, the audio is present. I can hear it at least.
Okay.
We have several motivations to implement this system. First is we would like to early detect the depression, which is helpful for depression treatment. Second is accurate prediction of depression is also important for depression treatment. Third is take full advantage of social media data to detect depression to address the problem of traditional depression detection method. So there are also some challenges of our work. First, expert technology is a big challenge for us. Traditional depression detection requires expert to diagnose this mental disorder. So can we use social media data to accurately predict the depression without expert knowledge? Second, what help for the on-demand discovery for user posters that the social media contains huge information like billions of text, images, videos, and so on. How to efficiently use this huge information to design our method is also a challenge. That first challenge is the multimodal information learning. How to effectively combine different kinds of information is also challenging. The last one is how to build an effective system to accurately and rapidly detect the depression. So generally, solutions like this will provide data from Twitter social media. It includes users' Twitters and posted images, and then based on this data, we extract textual features and visual features from two kinds of data. That we combine these two kinds features and train a classifier using a deep neural network. Finally, the depression and no depression users can be classified by using more system. Currently, the main computational approaches attempt to detect depression both through online and offline scenarios. The most classical one is to identify some positive signal of depression in conversation through speech signal recognition, such as positive speech. We can capture the pictures related to depression from the dynamic form of the patient's conversation video, typically through the recognition of the micro expression to determine the mental state. So the mental state of speech in the context of the text information in the conversation, and the keywords that are relevant to the physiological expression. These methods have been developed for decades and have been applied in the clinical practice. This also inspired the researchers who can analyze the state of mind from text and image information, as long as there are situation of the patient. Therefore, in recent years, more and more studies have begun to discover patients with depression from social network platforms. Actually, this type of work is done through engagement, emotional attributes, visual social media, the predictor of depression. For example, photographic data from Instagram, like the summation, and use behavior, or both text and image posted by the users. So in general, I approach the user personality model to detect depression in social media. It's most likely the following architecture. It models interest, views, and finally output the decision on whether a user is depressed or not. However, it only analyzes image features such as huge and saturation. In contrast with automation works, we aim to making this kind of implicit information the post explicit for depression detection. I propose an implicit and explicit multimodal feature fusion model to make a full use of multimodal information from web social media. We call it IEMFF to detect the depression risk. The contribution of our work can be summarized as one. And to the best of our knowledge, this is first attempt to analyze the implicit contents of an image and feature, make it explicit using natural language syntax for depression detection. We address the problem of multimodal feature representation of social media by integrating the visual and textual representation. The state-of-the-art performance can be achieved by using the proposed model. The proposed model mainly consists of three components. The first text user the text portion as input and portion of the model as applied for the explicit textual feature extraction. Meanwhile, the user's image files and the poster are used as the input of the second component. The image caption model is deployed to encode and decode the visual information into textual information, and the implicit textual feature is extracted by using the same pre-trained language model. After that, and the implicit textual features are incorporated with each by using a multimodal network in the third component for depression detection. Next, above the framework of the proposed approach for depression detection to generate a more robust feature for depression detection. Both users post text and related image including the posted image and files are used for feature extraction. On the one hand, most of the time, the post text can directly reflect the feeling and emotion of user. As we consider the feature extraction from text are explicit. On the other hand, the user's related image are also implying their feeling and emotion to some extent. We consider these features extracted from the image are implicit. To better estimate the user's feeling, we make the implicit features explicit and use these two kind of features for depression prediction. So first part of the proposal is explicit textual feature extraction. The short text is kind of the explicit data that can be used to infer depression. To make the most of use the data, we leverage BERT as a prediction model to obtain the sentence representation for post text. BERT network structure computes the independent sentence embedding, which makes it a great challenge to use BERT in our work. In this way, we can drive the sentence embedding of the explicit text from BERT. The second part is the implicit textual feature extraction. To figure out the implied meaning of the user's posted image, we first generate the image caption for each posted image. Our attention-based model is trained to learn to describe the image's content, and then the language model used in the above subsection is applied to generate the final implicit textual feature. For each input, user posts image line. A convolutional neural network is applied to encode the image into the set of deep feature vector. The lower convolution layer is selected as a feature map. We track this image caption model using Google datasets which more than 1.5 million object instances from the 80 categories. So we consider that the data is large enough to describe the most image posted by the user. Similar to the method used in above, that we use a pre-trained language model BERT to extract the implicit textual features based on the generated image captions. To take full advantage of the extracted explicit textual feature, TE and implicit textual features, TI, we fuse these two features for final depression detection. A straightforward way to combine these two kinds of features is to directly fuse these feature vectors. To evaluate our method, we test our model of the datasets. The dataset contain two subdatases, D1, D2, as the table shown. We compared the proposed method with Staffar's method for depression detection to validate the effectiveness of the proposed method. A great search is to find the optimal hyperparameters of proposed method, as can see from the table. The proposed method achieves better performance than several advanced methods for depression detection. Our BERT achieved 0.938 accuracy and 968 F1 score, which outperform the static-based method. And to be specific, we just directly fuse the explicit and the implicit textual features in the combination approach. The evaluation result as shown as the proposed is only and the proposed implicit is only the combination approach in table. According to result, all approach could achieve. To analyze this information, users post an image. We also calculate the frequency of word in the implicit text and some examples as the figure. Interestingly, depressed users are more likely to post images captions with objects like flowers and mirrors. The low depressed user preferred to post human-related images or selfish caption like the women. We deployed an online tool for the organizations that the medical organizations can use this tool to find the potential patients. I just give a very brief show of some shortcuts of this system. Okay, this is on my presentation. Any questions, welcome to email me by this address, and thanks for your listening.
Okay, we thank Dr. Pengwei Hu for his presentation. And if you have any question, you can, of course, post it on the chat. It will be our duty to send to the author if you prefer. The next presenter is Emily Zhu. Also, she sent video.
Hello, my name is Emily Zhou, and I'm from the University of Southern California, Viterbi School of Engineering. My apologies for not being able to attend the workshop live, but I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody's work asynchronously. So this work is titled Investigating the Generalizability of Physiological Characteristics of Anxiety. And this is co-authored by Professors Soleimani and Matarik. So I'll jump right in. So anxiety and stress are common responses to stressors that are experienced throughout daily life. Stress and anxiety on their own are not necessarily harmful to human well-being, but chronic stress and anxiety can give rise to more severe health problems. Chronic stress and anxiety disorders are highly prevalent, and in the US alone, people have reported higher levels of stress and anxiety since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. So this increase in stress and anxiety has inspired more research in the area of stress detection from a computational perspective. Physiological signals such as electrocardiogram and electrodermal activity signals have been commonly used for stress detection. Past work in stress detection has typically focused on developing better performing models for binary or multi-class classification of stress and anxiety. And there's relatively less work in cross-corpus stress detection. It is important that models are able to perform well and generalize across corpora to ensure unbiased performance in the wild. So for our work, we use 3 publicly available datasets of stress and general affect. The first one is the anxiety phases dataset. The second is the wearable stress and affect detection. And the third is the continuously annotated signals of emotion dataset. So for short, I'll be referring to these as APD, VSAD, and CASE. So in APD and VSAD, participants were subjected to stressors such as the Trier Social Stress Test, or the TSST for short. And this is a public speaking test. These two datasets are labeled with stress labels. And in contrast, CASE is a dataset of general affect, where participants were asked to watch video clips that were aimed to elicit different emotions. And among these are amusement, fear, and boredom. And we use the arousal labels available in the dataset to make our evaluation. So previous works using these datasets have achieved accuracies above 90% on within corpus evaluations with models such as tree-based models, ensemble learning approaches, and also convolutional networks. To the best of our knowledge, we performed the first study in a cross-corpus and also cross-label settings. So the main motivation for this work, we hypothesized that stress detection models may be learning features that are general across emotional arousal instead of specific to stress. For example, heightened emotional arousal corresponds to activation of the autonomic nervous system, or the ANS for short. And ANS activity results in physiological changes such as increases in heart rate, increases in skin conductance, and also decreases in heart rate variability. Stress and anxiety are only 2 examples of high arousal emotions, and others include things like excitement, happiness, and fear. as can be seen in the circumflex model of affect here on the right. So what we're interested in is whether these physiological features that are typically indicative of stress are actually specific to stress. And to this end, we perform within corpus, cross corpus, and also leave one corpus out evaluations using SVM, random forest, light GBM, XGBoost, and also an ensemble of these previously mentioned models. Okay, so on to study design and methodology. We first filtered the raw ECG and EDA data available in these three datasets, and we used the BioSP and NeuroKit Python libraries. And from these process signals, we extract a total of 16 high-level features, as seen on the bottom left. For ECG, we extracted heart rate, root mean square of successive differences between heartbeats, and this is RMSSB for short, the standard deviation of interbeat intervals, or STNN for short, and also the high and low frequency band power, and also the ratio of low to high frequency band power. Then for EDA, we extracted mean skin conductance level and the skin conductance response rate. Finally, we also extracted the mean, the median, standard deviation, and variance of the process signals for both ECG and EDA. And then we used a 60-second sliding window to extract these 16 metrics from segments of the denoise signal. The features from each phase in the three datasets were then averaged over each phase and then concatenated and fed into the model. So we performed binary classification of stress or affect in three different settings. First, within corpus, where models were trained and tested within the same dataset. And this provides us with baseline model performances using our pipeline. Next, we perform cross-corpus evaluations, where models are first trained on one dataset and tested on an entirely new and previously unseen dataset. For example, when we train between APD and case, we are training on stress labels, but we test on arousal. And finally, we perform leave one corpus out evaluations, where two datasets were first pooled, and these two are used as training data, and we test on the third. So our results, on the left, we have the within corpus evaluation, and on the right, the cross corpus. And as previously mentioned, acts as the baseline for our pipeline. And we note that model performance is the lowest in the APD dataset, and this may be due to more noise present in the data. However, we are still achieving better than chance performance in all cases. And this better than chance performance is can be seen in the first line of each table. Next, the cross-corpus case is where we really test our hypothesis. And because stress is one type of high arousal emotion, we are expecting that an affect detection model trained on arousal labels will perform relatively well on a previously unseen data set with stress labels. But instead, what we see here is that training on APD, which is a data set of stress labels, and testing on a case, which is labeled with arousal, actually resulted in better performance. And so in case and WSAD, we also achieved fairly good performance in both train and test settings. Next, in the leave one corpus out setting, we see that performance was lower in the leave one corpus out setting than in the cross corpus setting, but we still see higher performance testing on WSAD rather than testing on a case. And here we also see that performance is slightly lower in APD. So here are the main takeaways from this work. Our results show that these models trained on stress and tested on arousal labels perform nearly as well or better than training on arousal or and testing on stress. And based on this, our conclusion is as follows. It appears that the stress detection models we tested may be learning features that are general across emotional arousal instead of specific to stress. And overall, this was an exploratory work in the generalizability of physiological signals across stress, anxiety, and general emotional arousal. So I would like to point out some future work that we plan to conduct to support our initial findings. First, we plan to perform explainable AI techniques, such as the calculation of Shapley values, to shed more light on the physiological features that we used to. And furthermore, future work may investigate a set of physiological features that are specific to stress and anxiety, whether these are also handcrafted features or deep learning features. And that concludes the overview of my work. And I'd like to share some special thanks to everyone on this project. So Professors Mohammed Soleimani and Maya Matar. And in addition, this work was supported in part by the National Science Foundation and also the USC School, the Turvey School of Engineering. So thank you all for listening, and please feel free to reach out to me at EmilyJo, that's EMILYZHO, at usc.edu if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you to Dr. Emily Zhu for the interesting presentation. And again, if you have any question, you can post it on the chat, and we will forward to the author. Let's go with the next speaker, that is Dr. Robert Rozansky, with a presentation entitled Probabilistic Performance Bounds for Evaluating Depression Models Given Noisy Self-Reports Labels. Robert is here, and
Yes, I'm here, and I think you're presenting now, so I will, let me see how can I present my slides. Raise, React, View. Yes, I'm looking.
Yes, I think that I have to activate you as speaker.
Okay.
I think now
okay.
You can. Please, the stage is yours.
Yeah, let me just find the actual disable fit to frame spotlight. Oh, sure, there we go. Here it is. Screen window or tab, window, entire screen. Yeah, let's go with entire screen. Can you just confirm if you can see my screen with the presentation?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So my name is Robert Rozansky, and I'm here on behalf of my research team from, not my, but our research team from Affective-Health. And I would like to tell you about our project regarding evaluating depression models, and especially trying to capture upper bounds of performance, so we can understand the performance of them better. So what we do at Affective-Health is we try to develop technology for screening depression based on patient's voice, and we use both acoustic and NLP models. And this technology is the goal is to provide a cheap and scalable way to screen for depression, so that people can be referred later to a specialist if that's needed. What is important to note here is that what is used in depression modeling as labels are results of diagnostic questionnaires. These questionnaires are also used in clinical setting, like not only in modeling. And the two most important ones are PHQ or Patient Health Questionnaire, and GAD, which is Generalized Anxiety Disorder Questionnaire. And these are self-assessment tools. So they are filled in by the patient, not by the healthcare specialist. And there are also different length variants. So what we used is PHQ-8. It contains questions about symptoms within last 2 weeks. And for each question, depending on the answer, the patient gets a particular number of points, and the points are then summed up, and that produces the score. And it contains 8 questions about things like emotional state, activity, appetite, and sleep pattern changes, interests and pleasures in doing things, and concentration levels. So not only in health, in application of machine learning to health, but also in other fields, it is important to evaluate models, and to understand the evaluation results. It's good to have some reference points. So usually we have some sort of baseline performance, for example, performance of human annotators. Sometimes there is also business-driven reference points. So, for example, minimum performance level for business to be viable. There are also we could also compare performance of our models to other models, for example, from published results from other research groups. What I'm interested in this presentation are upper performance bounds, and upper performance bounds are is the maximum performance that could be attained on a given task and given data set, while taking into account that that maximum mathematical performance is not attainable because of irreducible sources of error. For example, because of presence of noise in the labels, because of natural variability of the labels, or because of things like presence of signal in the data. So there could be like missing features, or the features present could be of poor quality. And the standard way to approach it is to use something called Bayes error. And the way to kind of explain it from a bird's eye view is we have a vector of target labels and a corresponding probability distributions over possible values of the target labels, and then based on comparing on checking the probability of particular value from the target value, we can calculate error rate. And but this is very kind of theoretical. How can we actually estimate Bayes error? Because you can't calculate it directly. So I can use an estimator, and there are estimators that were developed and published. However, there is a number of problems that prevent their application in the setting that we're interested in. So the first problem is dimensionality. So we use acoustic and NLP information, and this is very highly dimensional, and it's impossible to use those estimators because of that. They only report error rate, and we are interested in other metrics. And to the best of my knowledge, no estimators for regression or ordinal regression exist. Another way to estimate Bayes error is to use multiple expert annotators as a surrogate. However, this is incompatible with self-assessment, and we use self-assessment as the source of labels. So we proposed and we developed a alternative approach. This approach is based on first collecting data with repeated PHQ administration. So after obtaining recording of patient speech, we asked them to fill in PHQ-8 questionnaire twice. So first time, and then after a short break, second time. And based on this data, we have created a label noise model. And thanks to this label noise model, we could, and our test data, we created corresponding pair of probability distributions. So one probability collection of probability distributions corresponding to target vector and the other prediction vector. And then we sample that multiple times using bootstrapping approach, obtaining YT prime and YP prime vectors, and then we use that to calculate metrics. So this is how it looks kind of more in detail. So this would be our label noise model. We have the first PHQ administration values here, and then we have a distribution over second PHQ administration score here on the x-axis. So what we do step by step is we start with a test set, specifically only the target values from the test set. We sample from that, obtaining a vector of target values prime. We copy that to create identical situation where we have identical predictions and target values. So this would be like perfect performance. And then we degrade this performance by replacing values in both of these vectors through sampling from the label noise models. So for example, if one of the values in the target vector prime was equal to 10, we can see what is the probability distribution conditioned on this value. We sample from that, for example, obtaining number 10, and then we replace the original value with that. In this way, we obtain vectors YP base and YT base. And then we use these vectors to calculate whatever performance metric we need. So how do we visualize the results obtained this way? So we not only report upper bound, but also obviously model performance, as well as lower bound. Lower bound is simply performance of a random model, but also obtained through bootstrapping, hence the variance here. And so we report actual performances distributions using this kind of bar plots, histograms. We report point estimates of model performance. So this is what would be normally reported in research papers. And the shaded regions over each of these distributions are confidence intervals. It is important to note that the width of all distributions is affected by the size of the test set. So bigger data sets will give us lower variance naturally, and also the particular label distribution in the test set. The upper performance bound is affected by the noise model, and this is the only part of this plot that is affected by that. And other sources of irreducible error are omitted, so we only take into account that things that were listed. And so when it comes to results, here we can see the results of applying this methodology to one data set and one model, and measuring performance using 4 different performance metrics. And what is commonly known is that certain metrics are easier to satisfy than other. So, for example, RACA-UC is easier to satisfy than concordance correlation coefficient. However, what we can understand now is that it isn't only the actual model performance, but also the upper performance bounds that are affected. And we can also, for the first time, compare this effect also to open metrics like MAE or RMSC, which don't have kind of natural bounds like that, like ROC-AC, for example, or natural maximum and minimum. So here we can see results from 3 different data sets and 3 different corresponding models. However, using the same performance metric, and we can see that there are substantial differences in position of lower performance bounds between data set, and as well differences between position of upper performance bounds between the last data set and the first 2. And this picture provides more, is more complex, provides more information than looking only at point estimates of model performance. Similarly, we have similar situation with accuracy here. So looking only at point estimate, we could say, oh, okay, this first model performed the best. However, we can see that the upper performance bounds is substantially different between the first and the third data sets. So can we actually, what can we actually say about relative performance of these two situations? And what's interesting that some metrics give more stable results for both model performances and bounds than others. So we can see that with unweighted average recall, I think the most so far. And to conclude, we have developed a method to estimate upper performance bounds. It takes into account label noise. That requires a label noise model, test set size, as well as PHQ distribution in the test set. We show how to use it in concert with lower performance bounds while using bootstrapping to evaluate model performance. And thank you. Okay, and do we have any questions? Because I have heard some ping during my presentation, but I'm not sure if.
Thank you, Robert, for your interesting presentation. If anyone has some question, please. I have just a curiosity about the data size of the data set, if you explain us better. And also, if you are thinking about some implementation in as a method. Okay.
So with the second question, you mean if we plan to release it as a library, for example, so other people can use it?
Yeah.
That'll be nice to do. I will need to consult with other people in our company before committing to anything, but it would be definitely nice to do. And when it comes to the data sizes, so they were in thousands, like the thousands of patients. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for your presentation and participation. Thank you.
Okay. So let's pass to the next speaker. We have now Dr. Boksu from Dalian University of Technology in China, and he will present a study entitled An Early Depression Detection Model on Social Media Using Emotional and Casual Features. So we will enable Dr. Brooks for the presentation. Okay, just a second. Okay.
Yes, can you hear
Dr.
me?
Xu, okay. Yeah, we can hear you. I think that you now can share the screen of your PC.
Wait a minute.
Okay, fine.
Can you give me the control? I can share my screen.
Okay, let's check.
You have to find the button share on the top right of your screen.
Yes, but I can't click.
Let's try again.
Yes.
We can
Okay.
try now.
Okay. I can't show you my screen. Still.
You're not able, you see the button disabled?
Yes.
Okay. Quite strange because we just we able you as a speaker. So I don't know if you prefer to share the presentation via email, and we will share our screen and you will talk on the presentation. We will present the slide. I don't know, maybe it could be a solution.
Okay.
Just email your presentation.
Okay, so maybe we can write the email.
So,
maybe we can share in the chat your email so you can send us.
okay. In the chat, you can find the email, but if you want, we can try again for the last time. Yeah. Let's see. So let's go. Let's try again for the last time to see if you can share your screen.
Okay, I will try again.
But it's not Boksu that is speaking, Yan Zhang.
I can still, I can't.
Who has to share the screen, Yan Zhang or Boksu?
Yes, yeah, and Jen.
Okay.
Ah,
Okay, so no worries. So now we
so we're activating Boksu. So let's
Okay.
go now.
Okay.
Yan Zhang, okay. Okay.
Okay.
I think now you can.
Oh, can you see my screen?
Yes, please.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I am Jen from the Dalian University of Technology. It's a privilege to share my research finding with you at this time. And my presentation is titled An Early Depression Detection Model on Social Media Using Emotional and Causal Features. The outline of my presentation includes 4 sections. I will talk about the background of the depression detection first. Then I would introduce my model structure and the experimental result achieved. At last, I will make a conclusion. Depression, as we know, represents a highly prevalent and profoundly debilitating psychological disorder. According to the World Health Organization statistics from 2017, there are approximately 350 million individuals affected by depression around the world. With the global outbreak of COVID-19, there has been a drastic surge in the number of individuals affected by depression. According to a paper published in The Lancet, post the COVID-19 pandemic, the prevalence of depression had increased by 25% compared to the pre-pandemic era. Fortunately, depression is a treatable condition. Timely external intervention proved to be an effective means in managing depression. However, the escalating severity of depression cases pose immense pressure on the existing psychological healthcare resources. Many patients are unable to access effective diagnosis and treatment. Hence, there is a critical need to explore automated method to detecting depression. Based on this, we propose a novel model for early depression detection. In the current landscape of depression detection, numerous studies leverage emotion element in data. We share a similar emphasis on the significance of emotion aspect. Additionally, drawing inspiration from another research domain known as emotion code pair extraction, we recognize that individuals expressing emotion often tend to simultaneously articulate the reason underlying those emotions. Exploring this aspect within our dataset, we observe that individuals with depression tend to exhibit a higher average frequency in both emotion expression and their corresponding causes compared to individuals without depression. We conducted statistical analysis on the dataset and generate a table depicting the relevant statistics as observed from the table. The group afflicted with depression exhibit a significantly higher average count of sentences related to emotion and the corresponding causal factor compared to the normal population. Building upon this operation, we developed a model based on the emotion and causal feature. And this is our model structure. From this picture, we can discern three primary components constituting the model: the encoding layer, the feature extraction layer, and the prediction layer. In social media platform, users articulate their opinions and emotions through posts, which we regard as fundamental emotion unit. Each user's post undergoes encoding through BERT to obtain individual word embedding, and followed by an averaging pooling process, thereby yielding the encoded representation for each tweet. Subsequently, this tweet will be fed into the feature extraction layer. Within this layer, we aim to extract emotional and causal feature. To accomplish this task, we employed a partitional filter network, resembling a recurrent network similar to LSTM. At the ith time step, the unit of the partitional network will receive two information flow, namely the current information input and the history information input. Let's consider the current information. The input of this time will combine the hidden state output of the last unit, getting candidate information C tilde sub I. The data is processed through two gates, namely the emotion gate and the cause gate, segregating it into three distinct features: emotion feature, causal feature, and semantic feature. And basically, we achieve it by using the COMMAX function. The COMMAX function is constructed by softmax function and the COMSUM function. The effect of the COMSUM function has been shown on the bottom of the screen. Then we use these two gates to generate three features of the current information. Similarly, this procedure is also applied to history information C with subscript I-1, combining emotion feature from historical data with those from current data yield emotion feature for current step. We got cultural feature and semantic feature at the same way. By integrating these three features, we can derive the feature C with sub I, which represent the output from the current time step to the subsequent time step. after the feature extraction stage. The obtained features are fed into the prediction layer for forecasting. As we consider depression detection as a classification task, when the predicted probability our sample by the model exceeds 0.5, we consider it as a potential prediction of depression, and we employ the standard binary coarse entropy as our loss function. As for the dataset, we choose to conduct our experiment on the IRIX 2018 dataset. This dataset is collected by the organizer of the CLEF competition from Reddit forum and has been widely used in early depression detection research. In this dataset, we have 758 users, among whom 684 are classified as non-depressed and 64 as individuals with depression. We split the data into experimental validation and a test set in a 6:2 ratio. In our experimental result, we compare several baseline models, include binary LSTM, Mandelbrot, EAM, and others, among which EAM and ERAM utilize the emotion factor for depression detection. For the experimental finding, it's evident that our model outperforms others in terms of precision, recall, and F1 source metrics. It emphasizes the effectiveness of our proposed models. Additionally, we conducted a validation experiment of 2 types of features, demonstrating their individual significance in enhancing depression detection. So, in summary, addressing the issue of depression detection, we introduced for the first time a novel approach to detecting depression based on not only emotional feature, but also causal feature. Conducting experiments on IRIX 2018 dataset, our model achieved the result of 78 precision, and 47% recall, and 59% F1 source. This experimental outcome highlights the superiority of our model over our other baseline model, demonstrating the effectiveness of the proposed causal feature in enhancing depression detection. That's all my presentations. Thank you for listening. Any question, please email me.
Any questions from the audience? Okay. Thank you for your great presentation. The topic is very, very interesting, and I think that it is a good direction to a good topic to investigate because it is worth it. Just a question: if you can better describe the data set that you use to evaluate your method, and also you said that it is quite unbalanced between the 2 classes. So how you handle this issue?
Okay, thank you.
So, John Zenga,
Yeah, I'm here.
are you? Yeah. If you can address these issues.
If you can describe the data set that you use in your to validate your model, the one.
Sorry, I can't hear your requirement clearly. Can you describe it again?
Yeah, I just asked if you can better describe the data set that you used to validate your method. So how it is composed, how you handle the imbalance between the 2 classes. Okay, yeah, this one, this one, ERISC 2018.
Yes, the data set is ERIX 28, and we renoted it, and during the limitation of the hardware limitation, we didn't utilize the data set fully, almost quarter of the data set.
Okay. As I can see, that number of the operation cases is quite different from the healthy controls. So did you consider this aspect when you implemented your method?
What? Can you describe it better?
Yeah, I was thinking, how did you solve the problem that the number of the operation cases is different from the number of healthy controls?
Oh,
I saw that you use the F1 score to evaluate the performance of the model, so it takes into account this aspect. But I was wondering maybe if you used some procedure to balance the two classes.
Actually, the data set is not the original version. The CLEF official have offered, because we plan to use it utilize it in another domain, as we mentioned. It's emotion code pair extraction. So we renoted the data set, and we just choose the user that suitable for the early depression detection task. So the number of the sample is different from the origin version.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for your presentation, and congrats for your study. And let's hope to hear something more about you. So I think that we can go on with our workshop. So now I call Sabrina Jarlori from Polytechnic University of Markham in Ancona, Italy.
Good morning to everybody.
Hi, Sabrina. Welcome to the workshop. And I think that now you can share your screen to the audience. Maybe we can check. And Dr. Jarlori, she will present a study entitled "An Assistive Robot in Healthcare Scenarios Requiring Monitoring and Rules Regulation, Exploring PEPPER Use Case."
Okay.
So,
Can you
Dr.
see my
Jarlori,
presentation?
we can see your presentation. The floor is yours. Please go.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi to everybody. I'm going to introduce you our work that was an assistive robot in healthcare scenarios requiring monitoring and rules regulation, in particular the PEPPER use case. This study was fought during the pandemic period, when all the rules that arrived from the government to respect request particular attention for people who were interacting each other. In particular, we tried to propose a solution where a humanoid robot, such as, for example, Pepper, could help people to respect some rule. And on this fact, the idea to propose an approach where the Pepper robot was able to move inside a closed environment, so in indoor scenarios, and remember to people who he met to dress the mask if they were not provided. So this work proposes the help of an assist robot system that can be deployed in an indoor setting, for example, like an hospital, but we have tried to replicate this kind of scenario directly in the department, where there is an health-based requirement, for example, to wear protective face masks. So the main actor of this work is, of course, the SoftBank robotics robot Pepper. And the main contribution of the work is a presentation of a real life, but also a real-time implementation of a typical humanoid robot that is able to navigate autonomously and perform monitoring tasks in an enclosed environment. Of course, this kind of implementation and this kind of idea takes its origin from the development of social robots that we had in the last years. So many social assistive robots like Aibo, Now, Paro, Robier has suggested us the opportunity to implement this kind of robot, this kind of social robot, to help people to manage different tasks of the real life of activity of daily living. And so the idea to implement, of course, Pepper. Pepper is a robot developed by SoftBank Robotics that has a height of 1 meter, just more than 1 meter, and has a lot of sensors like camera, like gyroscope that can help him to manage different activities. So interact, of course, with people, but also be able to move autonomously inside an indoor environment where, of course, the navigation is more complex with respect to an outdoor environment. In fact, in this case, the robot navigation algorithm that we propose has managed at the same time a local path planning and a global path planning algorithm, where the global approach requires prior knowledge of the environment, and so the idea of reconstruct and rebuild a map of the environment where the robot is moving, and then there is the necessity of implement some algorithm just to avoid obstacles, of course. So SLAM algorithm and different methods that are able to combine the sensors the robot is equipped with during the moving and external sensors to reconstruct in the best way the map of the environment where the robot is moving. So in this slide we present more or less the flow chart about the navigation of the robot, where we set a destination, so a target point, so the navigation starts, and the robot starts to explore and generate the map and to localize itself in the map. So he creates a virtual environment where he can move inside this map, and then is able in this environment not only to move autonomously and avoiding, of course, obstacles, but also recognizing human that he can meet during his moving, and recognize also if he's wearing, if these people are wearing or not the mask, of course respecting the COVID rules that occurred during the pandemic period. So the navigation algorithm was based on the D-Light algorithm and was selected for its efficiency, particularly for the time of calculation and the memory, and it allow the movement selected a given goal node that is the target destination, and try to realize the shortest path to achieve the target, and so try to move inside the map that the robot reconstructs during his movement. So the map, of course, is the first need that the robot has to move inside the environment he reconstructs. So then the obstacle detection, that is the second phase, the second step, is realized allowing Pepper to manage all the data that he is able to take by the laser sensors, the infrared sensor that a kind of robot like Pepper is equipped with, in order to adjust his path planning during the movement inside the mapping. At the same time, as I said before, not only we implemented the navigation set, but also the face mask recognition that we realized using TensorFlow and Keras. In this case, the robot was trained to recognize, of course, if people were wearing or not a mask, training it with a lot of images, in particular 2,000 of images that of people who were wearing a mask, and more or less the same number of people without a face mask. In this case, it was possible for the robot to recognize when he met a new person, if he's wearing or not the mask, and also with a Pepper's speech API, he was remembering to the person to wear, of course, to dress the mask if he was not. So the results were related to three kinds of environment: if there were present obstacle, static obstacle, or dynamic obstacle, because on the base of this kind of obstacles, there were different behavior of the robot. Remembering also that meeting a new person who is moving is, of course, associating to a dynamic obstacle. So the robot was able to move in this different situation, and also to achieve a high recognition accuracy of enough the 95% of accuracy calculated as in the equation reported in the slide, about the possibility to, of course, recognize if people are wearing or not the mask. The small security distance was of course of 0.2 meter and was the minimum distance set to allow the robot to navigate safer and also for the people he met. We tested this kind of simulated scenario in our department with more or less 50 subjects who volunteered participated to this test, and the robot was able to recognize if people were wearing the mask or not, even the presence of differences like different heights, skin tone, different dresses, female or males, or under different situations. So this was the idea that the data set we used to train the robot was sufficient to achieve the result of the recognition. So the approach was of this task, of this study, was that of realize an autonomous navigation for the robot and a face mask recognition task. For the autonomous navigation, there was a heuristic path planning algorithm and a neural network that have been employed to achieve this possibility for the robot to localize itself inside the map and moving in a map that represents an indoor scenario. And on the other kind, about the face mask recognition, it was able, of course, to recognize if people were dressed or not, the mask were wearing or not the mask, and so too the robot was able to suggest, for example, to wear the mask if people were not. So, of course, there are some challenges and limitations that the study proposed for the future, or that is the possibility to make adjustment to the map of the robot or use a manual map, because in this case we have not the possibility to act directly on the map that the robot reconstructs, and pay attention to the remote connection to Pepper for free movement across a wide area, because all the manage also data that arrived from sensors need of an access point, Wi-Fi access point, because all the artificial intelligence that is equipped for the robot is external by the robot. So it's necessary to be sure of a good Wi-Fi networks that support the exchange of data during the elaboration of the data acquired. So future work, of course, requires a better image acquisition from the robot, trying to better to improve the localization of the robot, and so avoid all the issues observed, for example, sometimes in the accuracy to raise to achieve target destination. And also in order to improve the autonomous navigation of the Pepper, and all the possible noise that can affect the acquisition of data by the sensors that equip the robot. So this is our work. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Ardori, for your talk. Any questions from the audience? Okay, I just have a few curiosity. I was wondering how this system of autonomous navigation is generalizable. I mean, if it could be used also on other devices, on other robots, or maybe, I don't know, I was thinking about smart wheelchairs, if it is possible to use the same approach also for other other devices.
Of course, it is possible, in particular about the SLAM algorithm that is equipped for the Pepper robot. But in this case, in this particular approach, there are some API and some function that were managed inside the program and the algorithm and the ambient of choreograph that is related to Pepper, that are particularly related to the characteristic of the robot. So of course, some the algorithm proposed is usable also for different mobile platform, robot platform, but at the same time, some of the function we proposed and we used are owner of the choreograph environment that is strictly related to the Pepper robot.
Okay, thank you. I just have another curiosity about the real-time efficiency of the algorithms, maybe particularly for the mask recognition algorithm, if it can work real time, if there is a little delay. I don't know if you can better explain the temporal performances of the algorithm.
Yeah, of course, in this case, we try to achieve as much as possible real-time providing of the results, but there was a delay in this case, of course, more or less of 10 seconds of elaboration, and then to provide which was the response, the answer and the result about the classification.
Okay, if there are not other questions, I think that we can close the first part of the of this workshop. Thank you, Dr. Yarlori.
Thank you.
Yes, we are a little bit early, but I propose to have a 30-minute break to start in half an hour. So we will anticipate a little bit, if you're okay, if anyone is Great, thanks. So, okay.
Daniela, please, let's keep the agenda because we don't know whether people will connect at a certain time, so they might lose the session.
Okay, so we will connect again at in half an hour. No, half an hour and
4:20. So as agenda, we will meet in more or less 50 minutes. So thank you all for your participation, and we will see you very soon.
Yeah.
Have a good lunch. Bye-bye.
Hi, everybody, again.
Welcome back to our workshop. So I think that we can start the second part of our workshop, and the first speaker is Dr. Yarlori, and she from Polytechnic University of Marche, and she will present a study, emotion recognition by facial image acquisition, analysis and experimentation of solutions based on neural networks and robot humanoid Pepper. So, Dr. Yarlori, we can see your screen. So
Yeah,
the floor is yours.
here I am. Okay.
You can go.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here to present a work that is based on the collaboration of the Polytechnic University of Marche and the University of Perugia and the IRCA of Ancona, the IRCA institution. This approach is born on the idea of recognize emotion on the base of the interaction, human-robot interaction between people not so user-friendly with the robot and humanoid robot, as for example the robot Pepper. The idea was that of create a protocol to describe an interaction standardized between people and Pepper robot. This was an aspect, while the secondary goal was that of evaluate the different aspects of human-robot interaction, such as usability, acceptability, the technological familiarity, and the user satisfaction. Of course, in people that used to refers or are practical with the robot or are more near to this kind of devices or robot. And another group of people that in our case was constituted of people with over 60 years old, that are more far from an interaction with the social robot. The idea is based, of course, on the robotics and artificial intelligence that now are shared an important role in technological research finds and in social scenario. In this context, a great attention are gained by cognitive robots, or those kind of robots that are able to adapt their behavior accordingly to the stimuli that they received from the environment and people that live there. In fact, in this case, also to the safety of people who interact with this kind of social robot, it's of a great importance the acceptability of this period to improve, of these people to improve their quality of life, considering that they are progressively aging, and so they need day by day a major help to realize the task of daily living. In this case, a robot like Pepper, with an humanoid robot that is very accepted from people, has been used to observe the possibility of the population to trust towards robots, and if these robots are able to recognize emotions elicited in people. Today, the different data for recognizing emotions can belong to different aspects. For example, vocal tone, body movement, biometric data such as electromyography records, but also electrocardiogram, respiration, electrodermal activity, but among this kind of different aspects and techniques, with our group, we chosen to implement an approach based on facial expression. In particular, we focused on 4 data sets used in this work that are related to different aspects to categorize and elaborate images acquired to recognize emotions like more or less surprise, happiness, sadness, anger, neutrality. These are the CK+, the FAIR 2013, the Ijaz, and the Affect-Net. This kind of data set were used to test different algorithm approaches, different convolutional neural network to recognize and categorize the different emotion. In particular, we try to elicit emotion using different videos, of course, suggested by literature, in order to recognize different emotional states like happiness, surprise, neutrality, sadness, and anger. In particular, we choose this kind of video because this is the simplest technique that can be implemented in the laboratory, and with the support of the literature, this kind of videos were recognized as able to elicit this kind of emotion. Moreover, it is an excellent artificial model of reality also to allow people to feel an emotion, seeing a short video that represents it, and is also the best technique ever used in a laboratory environment. So it's something very simple to elicit emotion. In this case, the video we selected that you can see in the table reported in the slide were suggested by literature, and people were sat in front of the paper and able to see this video on the tablet positioned on its torso. So there were 5 videos of brief duration, more or less 1 minute, 1 minute and a half. So a good duration to allow people to feel the emotion, avoiding to annoy him or her. The study had the purpose of evaluating the emotion recognition accuracy, both by the integrated system presented in paper and a different tested approach, just to understand which kind of approach is better for accuracy in premise, and also for the time duration of the elaboration to recognize which is the emotion felt. The idea, so is to evaluate the accuracy of the motion recognition system, in particular integrated in Pepper in real time, but also to compare it with other kind of approach, for example, convolutional neural network and other kind of algorithm, to understand which is the best solution for the classification. On the same time, at the end of the protocol that we provided and we structured, we also try to test the user acceptability of the human-robot interaction experience. This aspect is another important goal of this work, because, and as author, we have dedicated a great attention to this aspect, because it's important that also people, as I said before, that are far from this kind of aspect and interaction with robot can feel safe and sure of their interaction with the robot. So we have created a protocol where the user voluntarily expressed through an informant agreement their willingness to acquire the images, were available to interact with the Pepper. The robot introduced in particular itself to the user and explain briefly how the interaction will be carried out. Then the robot proposes an interview to the user with simple personal questions, and then he showed them 5 video clips, one able to elicit each different emotion. At the end of the video, the robot asks to the person which kind of emotion he or she has really felt, in order to then evaluate also the correspondence between the elicited emotion and what the user has really felt. Final questionnaire at the end were about the experience with the robot in a scale from 1 to 5, in order to evaluate in a Likert model which kind of satisfaction they arised during the interaction. We involved, as I said before, 2 kinds of population. The first one was composed by 18 people, 7 female and 8 male, with a range age of 1941, so with a mean age of 27 years old. And this group was mainly enrolled among the students or the personnel of the Polytechnic University of Marche. The second group, which is much more interesting, was the population 2, and was composed by 24 individuals with a range age of 59-80 years old, so a mean age of 69 years. And were all people recruited during the 13th Regional Congress of CISL Marche, held in Ancona in January 2022. There was a particular attention on this kind of group because, as I said before, one was supposed to be more confident with the interaction of a robot, while the second was, of course, not, because it belonged to a group that were very interested in interact with the robot, because they allowed to participate to the test, but they were very distant from daily interaction or a know-how about the robot. The motion recognition was after acquiring all the images thanks to the camera that the Pepper has on his face. The motion recognition was realized testing different CNN networks on different data sets. In order to realize, of course, face recognition. And we also evaluated the accuracy indexes like accuracy, precision, recall, AF1 score, in order to evaluate which was the most performant approach. Here we present the confusion matrix we obtain about the population 1, where we raise an accuracy more or less of the 65%, and also in the last confusion matrix on the right, you can find the confusion matrix related on the emotion declared by the user with respect to the elicited emotion. So also the correspondence between the emotion we elicited and which kind of emotion the user supposed to have felt. This is the results about the confusion matrix about the population 2, where, as you can see, the accuracy was lower, more or less about the 0.45–40%. In this case, while the correspondence for the confusion matrix related to the emotion declared by the user with respect to the elicited emotion was more or less good enough as the previous population. This kind of different results was obtained because the data set we used to train all the algorithms to classify the emotion were based on mainly on young people. So it's different, of course, than when they have to recognize expression from people of a different age, but also because people who try this kind of test sometimes has a different reaction to the video they saw. So this study proposes to evaluate the accuracy of the motion recognition system of Pepper, comparing it to an open source library, for example, FAIR, but also to a trained convolutional neural network as FHNet. This provided for the different approach good results that allow this kind of system to recognize the emotion elicited by video. And also about the data we acquired about the acceptability point of view from the questionnaire we proposed at the end of the interaction, we have excellent results that show also, even in the older population, a good approach to robot interaction. So this is the main scope of this work, and the results we obtain even in classification and acceptability of the human-robot interaction.
Thank you, Dr. Yarlori, for your talk. Any questions from the audience?
Sabrina, this is Arcangelo.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Thank you for your interesting presentation, and congratulations. Just a question. You correctly addressed the let's say bimodal distribution of the ages of the two populations. Have you found any differences in the rating of the emotions also? I mean, in the rating of the stimuli used to elicit the emotions?
Not it depends, because sometimes, of course, we can see that young people maybe reacts in a different way to the proposed video. They were more maybe sometimes responsive. They were maybe much focused on the test, while older people were not distracted, but involved in the test in a different way, because they were very excited just to the interaction with the robot in that context. So sometimes also in the elicited the emotion, we noticed yes, a delay, or not exactly as it's possible also to see from the confusion matrix with the classification of the emotion felt, while what they declared about what they have felt and what we wanted elicited presents better correspondence. I don't know, Professor Merla, if I answered to your question, but this was more or less what we noticed also during the test. And one of the different of the particular differentiation among the two people, also the fact, as I said before, that sometimes the data set were composed much more by pictures and images of people that has mean age different respect to the older population.
Okay, thank you. You answered the question. Thank you so much.
Sabrina, I have also a curiosity. Are you planning to improve with other physiological signals your models in the future, just like HRV or?
Of course, this was one of the future improvements we are thinking about, because also about the classification results that we obtained that were good enough, but we want to improve them. The idea is that of matching this kind of results and complete them with other information acquired by sensors, of course, that can map physiological parameters of people who are watching this video. Also continuing to think about this kind of approach to the best to elicit the emotion. So of course we are thinking about the possibility to match and include also different physiological parameters to better recognize the emotion felt.
Okay, thank you very much, and
thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So let's go to the other presentation. Dr. Anastasia Pentari from Institute of Computer Science of Heraklion in Greece. The presentation is entitled Multi-Channel CNN-Based Emotion Recognition Using Recurrence Plot Representation of Speech.
Yes, hi. I cannot share my screen, actually.
Yeah. I'm going to activate you.
Okay.
Please, I think that now it's possible.
Okay, so now you can see my screen, all right?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Well, welcome to my presentation with title Multi-Channel CNN-Based Motion Recognition using recurrence plot representation of speech. I am Anastasia Bedari, and our team consists of Petros Iosifidis, Yannis Kyprakis, Chrysoula Germia, Mikhail Froudas, Vasilios Karamagas, and we were under the supervision of Professor Manolis Tsiknakis. First of all, today I will present you the definition of the speech motion recognition, the purpose and the importance of the study. After that, I will pass to the methodology, including the idea of the RPs, the recurrence plots, the RQA analysis, and how we exploited the RQA features in order to pass to the classification based on a multi-channel convolutional neural network. And then we will conclude with experimental evaluations and conclusions. So first of all, during the human evolution, human communication passed from hand gestures to the spoken language. Among the available means of communication, speech is the most important, as we can change the style of speech, we can understand the feelings and the emotional states, we can extract features from the voice tone and its quality, for example, at the Parkinsonians, and that they are very important. So the speech motion recognition is a research field with many open issues, as there are a lot of differentiations among the spoken language, among the cultures, and it is very often that we have differentiation among the speakers of the same language. So you can understand that a methodology could be nice for a dataset, but in another dataset it may fail. The purpose of the study is to investigate how effective can a dynamically based approach be on the shared problem. In the literature, the previous works actually use traditional mathematical approaches such as the feature extraction combined with ML classification or image-based quantities like the spectrograms that are extracted and then they pass to classification through deep learning. However, the lack of approaches which can exploit the voice characteristics in a dynamic manner is an open issue. So here, for the first time, we employ a well-established mathematical tool which can, based on the phenomenon of recurrence, and thus we provide an alternative viewpoint on the shared problem. Regarding the methodology, the idea was based on the recurrence plots, which they essentially study the dynamical nature of a system. As a dynamical system, we define a system with that similar situations often evolve in a similar manner, and some situations are repeated over and over again. Regarding the human voice, we can admit that it has a dynamical based nature, let's say, that, for example, the pitch of the voice, it can be repeated, for example. And thus, can be described by the phenomenon of recurrence. So the RPs are binary quantities which depict the system's recurrence. Analytically, we have one speech signal, an utterance, and we split it into non-overlapping windows. For each window, we repeat this procedure. In more detail, we take the part of the signal which belongs to a window, and we embedded it into a 3D space that we essentially draw its trajectory. The main point of this is that we can study its state vectors and we can see how close they are to each other. So the final weighted RP is a pairwise state vectors combinations that we have estimated their Euclidean distances. Simply, we take a state vector and we estimate the Euclidean distance from all the other state vectors. So we take a square matrix R, and if this procedure is repeated for the n windows and summarize it by taking the mean value, we take the RP, the weighted RP, which describes the recurrence of the whole signal. After that, we pass to the recurrence codification analysis. The RQA has the ability to quantify the RPs, like how we, given the weighted RPs per adherence, we symmetrize it, we normalize it, and then we set a threshold. This is the most important part, a threshold of order 0.8. And the weighted matrices now are binary matrices of this form. For example, this is for angry, this is for bored emotion, this is for anxious, and etc. So after this procedure, we take the final recurrence plot, which is now binary, the R. Then, through the recurrence codification analysis, we have the ability to quantify the patterns of the dynamical nature of the speech signal, essentially, and provide 13 features like the recurrence rate, determinism, and others that can help us to our study. And now you will be wondering where these features can be used. In the shared problem treatment, the binary-based classification in the literature has been proven more effective than the multi-class classification of the emotions. So, as we aim to compare and recognize the primary emotions on a multi-class pattern, we thought that we can take the pairwise combinations of all the features, the 7 features in our problem, and construct a multi-channel deep learning. But if we take all the unique possible combinations of the pairwise emotions, we would have 21 channels. This would be very expensive computationally, and thus we used the features now. We applied the random forest over all the 21 combinations of the pairwise emotional states classification. So with this classification, we reduced the computational time, and furthermore, we achieved to extract the most prominent combinations of the emotions. So instead of 21 combinations, we concluded to only 7. 7 which are the primary emotions and their opposites, let's say. After that, we constructed the deep learning architecture with 7 such channels, into which the input of each channel is the RP of the emotion I and the RP of the emotion J, the binary RPs. And after that, we estimated the UAR accuracy from a confusion matrix, which now has a sparse form. And what do I mean? First of all, the examined emotional database that we evaluated was the well-known the German EmoDB. These were the available emotions, and these are their IEDs. So we noticed through the ML evaluation that, for example, the angry emotion was opposite, let's say, to the sadness, and etc. After that, the confusion matrix, in order to compute the UAR in a multi-class problem, would be sparse. And that means that if we have the C1 emotion, we compare it only with 1 out of the 3 of the rest. or the 6 in our case. So this is an example. So if we compare the C1 with the C4, these would be zeros. And thus it's advantageable, as you can imagine that we reduce the possibility and the probability of the error. After that, we estimated again the true positives as in the literature, false positives, etc. And we estimated the recall from this formula, mathematical formula. Regarding the comparative methods, we used the Ijaz maps, which are the most prominent set of features regarding the voice characteristics. It consists of 88 characteristics and it is combined with a multi-class SVM. Then we used the MEL spectrograms combined with a ResNet, and there are some information here. And the third methodology was combined the MFCCs, the well-known MFCCs, with the MEDC in a multi-SVM classification. Now, the UAR accuracy that I have to notice that it was used because the IMODB is highly imbalanced data set. You can observe that our method, the RP, is combined with the CNN, achieved to have the highest accuracy, almost 95%, and outperforms all the comparative methods. To conclude, the RP-based concept proved to be effective in the IMODB database. The combination of the RQA features with the deep learning-based concept proved to be, first of all, less computationally demanding than the traditional multi-class classification problems. And in general, the whole pipeline proved to be promising in the SER problem. But in the future, we have to examine different data sets because, as I mentioned, the SER problem has to fit, a methodology has to fit to more than one databases. We can examine cross-corpus data sets, and of course, we can pass to the spontaneous speech cases. Thank you very much. Any questions? And my mail is sampedari@gmail for further information.
Thank you, Dr. Pentari, for your interesting presentation. My congratulations is very, very interesting.
You're welcome.
Are there any questions from the audience? I have a curiosity. How do you think, how far we are from implementing it in real time or applied to our mobile phones, for instance?
Real time. It is interesting, and it is not very expensive computationally for, let's say, of utterances in the IMODB. But for a mobile app, I suppose that we would have more utterances. We will not have only 600. And of course, 600 is a low data set for a deep learning. So maybe it can work, maybe it cannot work. I don't know.
Okay.
But we have to examine it to different databases, first of all, of the record, and then we can pass to the real-time evaluation.
Yes, I think that maybe to generalize, a crucial point could be also the kind of language that we use as input to the model. You mentioned it in your introduction. This is tested on the German language, if I understood well. So maybe also to test on other languages.
Yes, of course, of course. But this study was under a project with students from the master class of Professor Tchernakis. So we achieved a high result, and we said, why don't we send it?
Yeah.
So it
Very
needs further
interesting.
work. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Thank you to you.
Any questions? Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, for me, that's all. Thank you. Let's go to the other presentation. That is a video from Dr. Ling Yang from University School of Computer Science and Technology, Xidian University of China. So now I have to share my screen. Can you hear the presentation?
No, we can't.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe not on the because it's on no, it's not okay, so then you get to here yeah, to share. It's only
This one.
right.
Let's see this way.
Signals generated by the brain.
Can you hear now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear?
No.
I'm going to start again. Let's see. Now you can listen.
No, but previously, when it was the video full screen, we could hear.
Ah, okay, okay. So
In the previous.
Okay. I try again.
Okay, but I think we changed the.
No, we cannot hear it again.
They cannot hear. Yeah, try to change the speakers. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Let's go now.
In the following, I will give you a brief introduction to our research. I hope that leading experts can provide valuable opinions. Our introduction will start from the following directions: research background, cover emotion net, experiment design, experiment results and sense. We will focus on cover emotion net and results to give you an idea of what we've done. Firstly, we will introduce the research background. As part of affective computing, EEG-based emotion recognition utilizes electrodes placed on the scalp to capture and interpret electrical signals generated by the brain. These signals exhibit unique patterns under different emotions, presenting significant potential applications in the healthcare sector. In healthcare, EEG-based emotion recognition not only aids in identifying emotional disorders, but also holds crucial significance in the treatment of cognitive and neurodegenerative diseases, such as depression and dementia. Additionally, through non-invasive wearable devices, continuous monitoring of an individual's emotion is feasible, offering new possibilities for remote healthcare. The EEG-based emotion recognition process involves 5 key stages: data collection, signal processing, emotion-related feature extraction, feature selection, and model design. Existing EEG-based emotion recognition technologies mainly focus on 2 basic issues. Firstly, how to extract discriminative EEG emotional features. And secondly, how to build a more effective model for emotion recognition. Traditionally, researchers use statistic techniques, Fourier transform, and other methods to compute relevant features from EEG signals. However, since it involves subjective consciousness and experience, extracting these features is not only time-consuming, but also yields uncertain results. Although current deep learning methods can automatically extract features and partially overcome these shortcomings, these deep feature extraction methods are light and only consider a signal feature or a combination of 2 static features, ignoring the emotional representation ability of dynamic information in EEG signals. Moreover, most models are too complex and require a lot of computing resources. Inspired by the above research, in this paper, we propose a simple 2-stream channel reconstruction and feature attention network named Confluent Emotion Net that consists of 2 streams: a static stream containing static temporal information and a dynamic stream containing dynamic temporal information. Each stream is composed of multiple cover modules, which automatically extract features and adaptively extract locally effective information. The figure above shows the entire process of the experiment. The main contributions of this paper can be summarized as follows. A 2-stream model is proposed, which is used to simultaneously balance static time information and dynamic time information in EEG and further zone. A cover module is designed to extract features by channel reconstruction and adaptively enhance effective local information through feature attention. In order to facilitate the introduction of static representation and dynamic representation, we first use X to represent an EEG sample, which is a C multiplied T matrix, where C represents the channel of the EEG signal, and T represents the number of sampling points. For static representation, we directly use EEG signals without any processing, which retains the original data characteristics and original information. For dynamic representation, we obtain it by performing a second-order difference on the original EEG signal. The specific formula is as shown above. The establishment of dynamic representation will make the model more sensitive to small temporary changes in the EEG signal. Within the purple module, there are primarily two components: channel reconstruction and future attention. For channel reconstruction, information is extracted from different time periods and EEG channels through sliding time windows and convolution operations, so that the reconstruction channel can contain rich and diverse original information. This process is simulated by one-dimensional convolution as shown in the figure 4. Subsequently, batch normalization is applied to the reconstructed features to make the feature distribution consistent, and then ReLU is used as the active function to introduce nonlinearity to enhance the experientiability of the neural network. Finally, to reduce the risk of overfitting, a dropout strategy is adopted to randomly set some channels to 0. These steps help improve the training stability and generalization ability of the model, while retaining useful information for EEG recognition. Considering that emotions are not activated in every time period, it is possible that participants experience more pronounced emotions during specific time periods. In the channel reconstruction module, we have extracted information of different time periods and emotional features to adaptively enhance the time period that contribute to the effectiveness of emotion classification. We integrated a future attention module. Firstly, we apply channel-wise global average polling to shrink the future dimension. Subsequently, we capture the relationships between different time periods by using a bottleneck with two fully connected layers. Finally, a sigmoid activation function is applied to map the values for the range from 0 to 1 as weights for different features. The figure above illustrates the overall structure of the proposed network. The proposed couple emotion net is constructed based on different representations of the same signal. It consists of a static stream and a dynamic stream, which are independent but share the same structure. The inputs to the two streams are the static representation and dynamic representation of the same symbol. Each stream is composed of multiple cover blocks, where each block consists of a channel reconstruction module and a future attention module. Finally, the two streams are fused together for classification. In order to verify the effectiveness of the above module, during the experiment, we only use one cover block. Due to same models in both dynamic and static streams, they were trained independently during training and were only integrated during testing. The data flow in the static stream is as shown in the figure above, and the dynamic stream is the same. We conducted experiments on the deep dataset, evaluated all models through tenfold cross-validation and computing average accuracy and variance. The table illustrates our model's outstanding performance, supporting existing research results. The main reason behind this achievement lies in our model captured the spatial temporal information of EEG through channel reconstruction and adaptively obtain effective local information using attention mechanisms. It also considering both static and dynamic information, resulting in the highest accuracy on the deep dataset. Furthermore, our model demonstrates the lowest static deviation, indicating its excellent generalization ability. In order to verify the effectiveness of different modules, we conducted additional ablation experiments on the deep dataset. One experiment focuses on the structure of the ablation stream, and the other experiment focuses on ablation, channel reconstruction, and filter attention. And shown in Figure 8, the two-stream architecture outperforms the signal-stream architecture in multiple metrics, under valence and arrival. The two-stream accuracy is improved compared to the two variants of the dynamic stream and the static stream. These results indicate that our model effectively integrates the static and dynamic information of EEG to enhance the accuracy of emotion classification. And shown in Figure 9, removing different components from the peripheral emotion net results in performance degradation. When the peripheral module is entirely removed, the results are the worst. Only use the feature attention module has minimal impact on the classification accuracy, since the features without channel reconstruction only contain transient information that cannot accurately represent emotion. The use of channel reconstruction has greatly improved the accuracy rate, indicating that the window information captured by channel reconstruction has extremely high value. When the entire curve module is used, the accuracy is the highest, indicating that the feature attention module further improves the features constructed from channel reconstruction. In conclusion, the curve module significantly contributes to the classification task by extracting relevant temporary period information and adaptively capturing the period that are representative of emotions. In order to highlight the low complexity of our model in terms of training time and parameter count, this study conducted a comparison with other methods. And shown in figure above, our model demonstrates advantages in both training time and accuracy. Although EEG two-dimensional map has fewer parameters, its training time remains unchanged, and its accuracy is slightly lower than our model. On the other hand, although EEG three-dimensional map achieves similar accuracy, it has 12 times the parameter count and 5 times the training time. Compared to current, here conclude organization. We plan to expand its network for cross-subject emotional understanding and apply it to other fields, utilizing EEG signals for tasks such as analyzing sleep stages and assessing driver fatigue. Thank you all for your attention and engagement. If you have other questions or want to exchange content, you are welcome to send our email. We are very grateful.
Okay. So thank you, Dr. Yang, for this contribution. And now I think that we can go on with our workshop with the next speaker. It is Dr. Savan. Okay. Dr. Savan is from Fraunhofer Institute of Integrated Circuits, IIS of Erlangen, Germany. And the talk is entitled Biosignal-based multimodal fusion with bilinear model for emotion recognition. Dr. Savan, I think that you can share your screen.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Okay, so we can see your screen. If you want, okay, you can start your presentation. The floor is yours.
Yeah, okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Shrutika Savant as organizer already mentioned. I'm from Multimodal Human Sensing Group of Fraunhofer IIS Germany. And on behalf of our research team, I will be presenting a part of research work here named as biosignal-based multimodal fusion with bilinear model for emotion recognition. So before going to see the proposed approach, how we combine two biosignals, let's have a brief introduction to the emotion recognition. Emotions are fundamental aspect of human being, and it always affect decision and action. They play important role in communication and emotional intelligence, that is the ability to understand, use, and manage emotions, which is very crucial for successful interaction. However, if there is inability to perform any of these tasks, then that can be an indicator for cognitive or neurodegenerative diseases such as depression, dementia, or maybe the Parkinson disease. However, we know that understanding emotion, particularly human emotion, is very complex task, since emotions are considered as physiological and psychological expression that depends totally on the individual's moods and personality. Therefore, emotion recognition has become an emerging research field, not only in the in the application of so-called affective computing, but also in the other research domains such as healthcare, e-gaming, or the robotics or cognitive study. Uh, Emotion recognition, or I would say here, emotions can be represented either as a categorical emotions, for example, happiness, angry, sadness, etc. Or maybe they can be represented as a dimensional emotions, where we can measure arousal or the valence, which is nothing but the intensity of the emotion or the pleasantness or unpleasantness of the emotion. There are a wide variety of data sources that has been utilized for modeling human emotions, and it can be we know that human always expresses emotion through various ways, including facial expression, speech, body language, or changes in the physiological signal. So most commonly used modalities for the emotion recognition is in the form of either behavioral signals like images, videos, or the text, or psychophysiological signals, or we can also say that biological signals. There exists a lot of research for the emotion recognition based on behavioral signal. However, there is major drawback using behavioral modalities, such that there is always uncertainty arises in case of individual who are either consciously regulating their emotions, or they are naturally suppressing. In that case, there is no guarantee that an individual can express their original or the true emotions to the particular cue. Then what is the alternative in that case? So here comes our first motivation. What if we use another modality which gives emotion related features, and the alternative would be the physiological or the biosignals. These biosignals constitute vital signal signs of the human body. So these are very difficult to mask since these are involuntary reactions of the body. The examples of physiological signals are ECG, EEG, or the galvanic skin response, or the body temperature, etc. These signals have been traditionally used for the clinical diagnosis, but there is a significant evidence to suggest that they are sensitive to, and they may contain or may convey very important information related with the emotions. In last few years, there has been a lot of research based on biosignal based emotion recognition. However, most of them are utilizing a single modality or single biosignal for the emotion recognition. And here comes our second motivation. Why can't we go with combination of the multiple biosignals or the multiple physiological signals? Since the multiple biosignals or the physiological signals may contain some rich complementary information or some overlapping information among themselves. And if we combine them, then maybe we can boost the performance of the overall model. So This is our second motivation. Now the question comes how we can combine multiple biosignals. Should we go with early fusion methodology? Should we go with late fusion, or should we go with intermediate fusion? In the early fusion, we know that the multiple biosignals has been combined at early levels. It may be the concatenation, direct concatenation. In the late fusion, each biosignal has been processed independently, and the decision then has been combined either using voting method or the averaging method. However, both of these methods where there is either direct concatenation of the modality or there is averaging. So this linear combination of the multiple feature may not be sufficient when there is a some common features among biosignals or the physiological signal. So for that purpose, we are going for the intermediate fusion, where we will fuse the features from multiple biosignal at the intermediate level. Before going to see our proposed approach, I would like to give here information about some input and output of our model. We have used only two biosignals, ECG and EDA. This is totally based on the existing research where these two modalities have shown very good performance for the emotion recognition. Instead of using categorical emotions, we are targeting just dimensional emotions like arousal and malice. And here our task will be sequence-based estimation. Along with that, we just have used end-to-end deep learning approach. There is no handcrafted feature extraction we have used. This is our end-to-end deep learning approach, or the method for fusion of ECG and EDA, or here we can call it as a GSR, using bilinear fusion method. This bilinear fusion helps to extract some intrinsic features from the both biosignal, and it helps to improve the total or the overall performance of our model. The data set which we have used provides 3-channel ECG. That's why we can see here 3 channels ECG, and there is a single channel GSR. Then we have used sequence-based estimation. However, I want to note here that we just have used last part of the stimulus period from the signal. Instead of using entire stimulus period, we just have used last part, which is then given to the 1D CNN encoder. We have used here 5-layer 1D CNN encoder to get some embeddings from both biosignal, and these input embeddings are then combined through bilinear fusion model, which is then finally fed into the fully connected classifier to predict arousal and the valence. And since we have used arousal and valence as the classification problem instead of regression, we have used here binary cross entropy loss function. So to evaluate the effectiveness of our proposed approach, we have used Mahanop HCI dataset, which originally consists of data from 30 participants. However, due to missing of the data from 3 participants, only data from 27 participants is available, and we have used that entire data for our experimentation. There are a lot of biosignal data has been captured in the Mahanop dataset. However, we have just used ECG and EDA signal. As I mentioned, our emotion is modeled using dimensional emotion, arousal and valence. In the Mahanop dataset, arousal and valence ratings have been collected in the scale of 1 to 9. So this is a 9 scale rating. Since we have used this as the classification problem, instead of going with multi-class classification, we have gone with binary classification, because the classes are, when we have looked into the class-wise representation, we have seen that there is a big there is a lot of imbalancing among all these multiple classes. So instead of going with that and remove the or reduce the overall performance, we have used binary model where arousal will be represented as high arousal or low arousal, and valence will be represented as high valence and low valence. And to transform this 9-scale rating, we have used threshold of 5. So if the rating is less than 5, then it will be considered as either low arousal or low valence. And if it is greater than 5, then it will be high arousal and high valence. And we have observed that the class-wise distribution for the Mahanov dataset, when we used threshold of 5, it is almost balanced distribution. So, and for the pre-processing of the ECG and EDA, we kept it very simple. We just have used subject-wise min-max normalization so that we will have more information related with the raw biosignals. And another thing, as I mentioned, we have just used last part of the stimulus period, that is 34 seconds. This 34 seconds because the minimum length of the segment in the Mahanov data set is 34 to maximum is around 120 seconds. So this was our complete intuition that the last part of the stimulus period may give us more emotion related information. So that's why we have used just last 34 seconds. And I will show you the ablution study as well. This part has provided really important information. And these are some another experimental settings. We have used leave one subject out evaluation and performance measures, macro accuracy and macro F1 score. So considering the fusion of the or combination of the two biosignal, the question will arise again. Does fusion of biosignal really matter? Does it really overcome the performance of this individual modality based emotion recognition or not? So for that purpose, we have checked the performance of ECG based emotion recognition, EDA based emotion recognition, and then the performance of our proposed model. So here we can see the performance or the accuracy and F1 score obtained when we have used only ECG signal for the emotion recognition. This is for the GSR. And again, along with comparing the performance with the proposed approach, we also have provided result when we are having the concatenation of ECG and GSR, whether this concatenation provides really worse performance or it is equal similar to our proposed approach. So we can see here the when two modalities has been concatenated, the performance of the model is like this. And here is the performance of our proposed approach, which is obviously better than a single modality based as well as the concatenation approach. And at the same time, for the valence, we also have observed similar effect when we have compared with single modality as well as the concatenation of the two biosignals. So furthermore, we also thought that to say or to prove that our approach is more significant than over a single modality or the concatenation, we have performed paired t-test, and we have found that the value of the t-test p-value is less than 0.05, and when we compare with single modality based as well as the concatenation method. So I would say here the proposed approach is statistically significant over these individual modality based approach as well as the concatenation of them. Then let's see how our approach is compared with some related work. We have compared 4 different methods. In the first method, the traditional machine learning classifier has been used, SVM. And here in this paper, they have used 5 modalities: GSR, temperature, respiration, heart rate, and EEG. Then another method where there is combination of handcrafted feature as well as some deep learning features, and they have used 3 different modalities, EEG, ECG, and GSR. However, they have used very extensive feature extraction here. Then another paper where hyperfused net has been proposed, and they have used again 3 different modalities. Early level feature fusion, where they have used 4 different modalities. And this is our approach where we have used just 2 modalities instead of using lot of modalities and very extensive feature extraction. We kept it very simple, and we used just end-to-end deep learning feature. So when we are comparing our approach with other approaches with respect to input modalities, we can see here the performance. And you can also see that the standard deviation for 2 methods is not shown here. This is because in the paper, they haven't mentioned anything about the standard deviation. Only the overall accuracy and the F1 score was mentioned. Then we also have compared those related approaches with their evaluation method. For the first method, they have used a LOSO method, which is same like our evaluation method. In the second approach, they have used 10-fold cross-validation. Then in the third, stratified 80-20% sampling. Fourth one, they haven't mentioned anything about the evaluation method, whether it was LOSO or random sampling or just 10-fold cross-validation. Nothing was mentioned. And in our approach, we have used LOSO. So as you can see that when we are comparing approach with respect to input modalities as well as the evaluation based method, we can see that the second approach, that is handcrafted feature and LSTM, is showing much better accuracy in comparison with our approach as well as other approaches. However, as I mentioned, they have used extensive feature extraction. And another thing is about the evaluation method. So they have used 10-fold cross-validation. And here, for performing these 10 folds, they have randomly divided entire data into the 10 folds. And when the random selection has been performed, then there is always chance of having the data leakage, where the part of the samples or test samples have been already used in the during the model training, and that implicitly enhances the accuracy. However, in case of the LOSO, there is no prior information about the test subject exist in the model, since none of their data is used in the model training. And due to interpersonal variability, LOSO approach leads to accuracy degradation. Whereas in case of random selection with K-fold cross-validation, there is less or lower interpersonal variability in the training set. And this is why I want to say that the LOSO cross-validation approach is more appropriate, which increases the generalizability of the model to the unseen data. And if we consider the real-time evaluation environment, then LOSO is always better approach, because in real time we don't have any of the sample for the test data available. So if we evaluate our method with the LOSO environment, that will be more generalizable for the unseen data. So that's why I would say here our model performed better than the other related approaches. Then, as I told, we have just used the last part of the stimulus, that is 34 seconds. So when we compare that with the 34-second segments with 5-second overlapping from the stimulus period, as well as 10-second window with 5-second overlapping from the stimulus period. We again observed that the last 34-second gave more emotion related information for in our approach. So our intuition or the assumption to use only the last part came to true here. So I would say the last part here particularly for the Mahanop data set has given more emotion related information. However, another thing I wanted to say that since we have shown that our approach has shown better performance than the existing approaches, but still the performance is average. And to further analyze our approach, we performed uncertainty analysis of the model we have used and its relationship with the proposed fusion approach. This analysis has helped us to understand if the model has been trained with different initialization, then does it work really well with on the unseen data or not? For that purpose, we have used here deep ensemble method as well as the predictive entropy, and we have initialized the same model with 3 different random seed, and then it is evaluated onto the unseen test data. Because of this predictive entropy, we get to know that if the predictive entropy is higher, then there is higher uncertainty about the prediction. So for that purpose, we have checked this uncertainty analysis for individual modality as well as the fusion approach. And here we can see the predictive entropy histogram for the ECG, where we can see that more samples or all the samples are accumulated towards the right part of the graph. And as I mentioned, the high entropy indicates the high uncertainty about the predictions, or I would say here samples are very uncertain whether about the prediction. So this is for the ECG, and this is for the GSR. Again, for the GSR, you can see that there is very high uncertainty in the sample about the prediction. And when we perform the same analysis for the fusion, we also have seen the same high uncertainty in the samples when we use concatenation of the ECG and GSR. Even though the accuracy of this concatenation is much better than single modality based, but still there is uncertainty. At the same time, when we saw the uncertainty analysis for our approach, we can see that now the samples are spread out over the axis, and there is like the because of the fusion, then the test samples are more certain about the prediction in comparison with single or the individual modality based approach as well as the concatenation fusion based approach. So with this uncertainty analysis that has been confirmed, as well as we also found that when we saw the inter-subject distance for the Mahanop data set, there is very large inter-subject distance. However, the classes are very close to each other, and that could be another reason, which is why the model has given, or the approach has given, the average performance. So with that, our takeaway message is our bilinear fusion approach is simple, but still it has ability to learn mutual or the common features across the biosignal. And it has definitely outperformed concatenation and the single modality approaches significantly. And of course, it is efficient even under low-SO environment, which is the very much needed for the real-time evaluation. And for about the future direction, I would say here we have used just binary classification, as I mentioned, because classes are more close. However, there is it would be interesting to explore fine-grained labels for the arousal and balance. And since we have used only two biosignals, ECG and EDA, it would be interesting to explore other biosignal. And again, as I mentioned, we have used here classification problem for the arousal estimation and balance estimation. So we can even transform this problem space to the regression to have better estimation of the affective scores across different dimensions of particular emotion. These are some references we have used. And this work has been supported by Bavarian Ministry of Economic Affairs and Regional Development and Energy through Center for Ud'A within the framework of Bio Digital 2. And yeah, that's it, my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any queries, you can contact me onto this email ID, or maybe you can ask any questions now.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sawant. There are any questions from the audience? Congratulations for your presentation. It was very detailed and very interesting. I have only one question for you. You told that you choose a specific interval of 34 seconds. So I was wondering if you tested also other length in time. Why 34 and not 20 seconds, for instance?
Thank you so much for your appreciation and the question as well. As I mentioned, we have just focused here the Mahanov data set, and the minimum length in the Mahanov data set was 34 seconds. And it was initially our intuition that the last part of the signal give more information, emotion related information. So when we started first, we instead of using the 10-second or the 20-second window, we directly use the minimum segment length which is available, that was 34 seconds, and we done experimentation. Then maybe if you remember, in one of our slide I have mentioned the ablation study where we have used 10 seconds with 5-second overlapping, as well as the 34 second with 5-second overlapping. And with this experimentation, again, we confirm that the last 34-second part which we have used gave more information to boost the performance. So that was the reason we have used.
Okay, it's clear. Yes. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So the next speaker is Dr. Maria Evangelia Ciarsmina, and she's for Institute of Computer Science Foundation for Research and Technology, Hellas, Heraklion, Crete in Greece. And presentation is entitled Sentiment Analysis in Greek Conversations, a comparative study of Bert, Vader, and lexicon approaches.
Hello, I cannot share my screen yet.
Hi, Maria. Yes, I think you can.
Yes, I can. Just a minute. Okay, so do you see my screen? Can you hear me?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. Hello everyone. My name is Maria Hadjimina, and I will present you our research with title Sentiment Analysis in Greek Clinical Conversations, a comparative study of Bert, Vader, and lexicon approaches. We'll start with the introduction, then we will speak about the background and motivation of our study, Then moving on to methodology, we will see the methodology for each of the three approaches. In results section, we have the comparative results of Bert Bader and Greek lexicon. And finally, we have the conclusions of our study and our future work. Sentiment analysis is a complex task in natural language processing. It involves deciphering the underlying sentiment or emotion embedded in unstructured text. The impact of sentiment analysis resonates across various fields such as sociology, psychology, customer feedback, and social media. But beyond these fields, sentiment analysis proves to be crucial in healthcare. Understanding patients' emotional states directly influences the quality of care provided, so recognizing sentiments becomes integral, especially when dealing with patients facing life-altering illnesses such as hematologic malignancies, which are the focus of our study. Sentiment analysis can help understand patients' emotional well-being, improve the quality of care, and also help to create potential applications in health monitoring and patient well-being. So the focus of our study is clinical conversations regarding hematologic malignancies. Hematologic malignancies encompassing conditions like myelodysplastic syndromes and acute myeloid leukemias are not only physically challenging, but also emotionally distressing for patients. Patients diagnosed with hematologic malignancies often have symptoms like pain, fatigue, and emotional distress arising from their illness and treatment. Palliative care designed to enhance overall well-being becomes crucial. So the emotional support provided in palliative care significantly influences patients' experiences. Understanding sentiments in this clinical conversation is crucial in order to decipher the emotional state of patients, and by doing so, healthcare providers can tailor their approaches, offering not just medical care, but also the necessary emotional support. Our research acknowledges the emotional challenges that accompany hematologic malignancies, and through sentiment analysis, we aim to shed light on the emotional well-being of patients and ultimately contribute to a more empathetic healthcare experience. Our research was conducted in clinical conversations in Greek language. There are challenges regarding the Greek clinical context. While sentiment analysis has been extensively explored in widely spoken languages, it remains uncharted in underrepresented languages like Greek. The Greek languages poses unique challenges such as scarce resources, limited labeled datasets, morphological complexity, and complex linguistic nuances. Finally, it's important for underrepresented language to create more inclusive and diverse language process applications and also more specialized language models. In recent years, there is increased interest in sentiment analysis within health research, covering various health-related problems, especially in English language. Studies commonly gather data from mainstream social platforms. There is also a rise in sentiment analysis research in Greek across multiple domains, but there is limited research in Greek in sentiment analysis, especially in healthcare, which presents a gap addressed by our comparative study. The available researches in Greek language about sentiment analysis are all focused in COVID-19, and the data are gathered from mainstream social platforms such as Twitter. In our case, we have created a corpus from real conversations, conversations between clinicians and patients with hematologic malignancies were recorded with a voice recorder during patient visits to the University Hospital of Heraklion, Crete. Of course, we had approval from the ethical committee, and the participants signed and informed consent before data collection. Finally, we removed any personally identifiable information to maintain participant anonymity. We have collected approximately 85 hours of recorded conversations, which are divided in two categories. We have the initial visits, where the clinician collects medical history and family history and symptoms, and then we have subsequent visits at intervals of 3, 6, or 12 months, based on the illness progress of the patients, where the clinicians monitor symptoms and assess quality of life. Since our recordings were in Greek language and the hospital environment was very noisy and we had to do with fluid conversational dynamics, we had to do manual transcriptions for all our recordings. We have also added speaker term definition and we have done spell checks and speaker tag verification for accuracy. Then we labeled the dataset by using structured guidelines for sentiment analysis, and we labeled the dataset in 3 sentiment categories: neutral, negative, and positive. For neutral sentiment, we have objective and factual information and general inquiries by clinicians. For negative sentiment, we have expression of negative emotions such as fear, pain, or anxiety. And for positive sentiment, we have expressions of happiness, satisfaction, and gratitude towards the clinicians. As we can see from the graph, we have 67% of neutral utterances, 21% of positive utterances, and 12% of negative utterances. When we say utterance, we mean a single turn or contribution to the conversation by one of the participants. So, for example, if a clinician says, good morning, how are you feeling today? This is one utterance. For our evaluation metrics, for all our approaches, for all the 3 approaches, we use precision, recall, FNA score, accuracy, and specificity. These metrics are standard measures to assess the performance of sentiment analysis model. Precision is the ratio of correctly predicted positive samples to the total predicted positives. Recall, or otherwise called sensitivity, is the ratio of correctly predicted positive samples to the total number of positive samples. Then we have a FNA score, which is a weighted average of precision and recall. We have accuracy, which is a general measure, but it may not be sufficient by itself. And finally, we have specificity, which is the ratio of correctly predicted negative samples to the total actual negatives. And it is important in scenarios where distinguishing true negatives is crucial. Our first method revolves around the Greek sentiment lexicon. This lexicon, comprising 2,315 entries, assesses 6 sentiments: anger, disgust, fear, happiness, sadness, and surprise. Firstly, we lemmatized the corpus, then we assigned sentiment scores and calculated the overall sentiment of each utterance by using aggregating scores, and we used the evaluation metrics described before. Our second approach involves a multilingual balance-aware dictionary and sentiment reasoner, or for short, VADER. This library is designed for social media and analyzes sentiments in multilingual text, including Greek. In order to do that for multiple languages, VADER uses the Google Translate API and translates the text given to the English language. Then, through a rule-based system, VADER assigns sentiment polarity scores and calculates a compound score for nuanced emotional assessment. Then we used again the same evaluation metrics. And our third and final method features the BERT pre-trained model, which is a well-known and powerful model. It is a pre-trained model in a very large corpus of unlabeled text, around 3 billion words. The process is then to fine-tune the model by using a labeled dataset in order to create a task-specific fine-tuned model, for example, for sentiment analysis. We prepared our dataset, divided into training, validation, and test sets, and addressed Greek language complexities through text preprocessing. In order to avoid overfitting, we introduced class weights, applied tenfold cross-validation, and implemented an early stopping mechanism. And our methodology ensures, again, a robust evaluation by considering the same metrics that I described in the previous slide. So in this slide, we have, for the first 3 graphs, the precision, recall, FNA score, and specificity for each one of our approaches, and for each one of the sentiment categories. So, for example, in the top left, we can see that we have the Greek lexicon, And we can see that Greek lexicon didn't perform well in negative and positive categories. Then in the top right, we have Vader, where we can see that it performs better than the Greek lexicon approach. And then in bottom left, we have the pre-trained BERT approach, where we can see that we have more balanced and robust results. Finally, in the bottom right graph, we have the overall accuracy, precision, recall, and the FENA score of each one of the approaches. And we can see that BERT outperforms the other two. It achieves the highest accuracy at 8%, indicating its overall proficiency in correctly classifying sentiments, while Vader may have a small advantage in precision. The overall balance of BERT, especially in recall and the FENA score, positions it as a robust choice for sentiment analysis. BERT signs in recall and the FENA score, which are crucial metrics for comprehensive sentiment analysis, and it excels in capturing a broader range of sentiments. BERT's success could be attributed to its adaptability and the ability to leverage contextual information in the language. So for the lexicon-based approach, we can say that it has potential in detecting neutral sentiments. It can be suitable for tasks requiring identification of neutral sentiments, such as extracting general information. It lacks effectiveness in negative and positive sentiments, and the reason for this may be that there is limited Greek language lexicon for clinical language. Then we have multilingual Vader, which shows robust results in negative and neutral sentiments, and it can be suitable for applications requiring sentiment polarity detection, but it may not capture the full complexity of clinical language since it was created for social media conversations. Then we have BERT, which outperformed the other methods in all sentiment categories. It's a robust option for comprehensive sentiment analysis in Greek clinical conversations, and it shows a balanced ability to recognize all three categories. The problem with BERT is that it's computationally intensive and resource demanding, and that it requires substantial labeled data for fine-tuning. So our study, while valuable, has limitations. The size of our dataset and its exclusive focus on a single healthcare institution may impact the generalizability of our findings. To conclude, sentiment analysis plays a crucial role in enhancing patient care by providing insights into emotional states. Identifying negative emotions allows for immediate intervention, while recognizing positive sentiments indicates patient satisfaction. Sentiment analysis also can lead to the development of conversational agents in healthcare settings in order to enhance communication. For our future work, we are considering to address these limitations by obtaining larger and more diverse datasets and exploring multi-institutional collaborations. We want also to do a comparative analysis with more language models such as ChatGPT, GPT-2, or Roberta. And our ultimate goal is to develop a sentiment-aware conversational agent in Greek language. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chatmina. Very interesting. Are there any questions from the audience?
Okay.
Just curiosity. What do you think is the next future of this application?
Our goal, as I said, is to create a conversational agent which will be focused on clinical conversation. And we want also, we have created the conversational agent, but we want to also add the sentiment analysis. So this is the next step for us, but we want also to compare other models to see if we can have a better, accuracy, precision, recall, and all that, have a better algorithm.
Yeah, of course. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you
Maria.
very much.
The last presentation is from Dr. Lin Yang, but we didn't get the video. It was about BCCT, a compact convolutional transformer for EEG motion recognition. If we will get the video, we will add to the recording of this session and post it on our website of the workshop so that each one of us can go and see the video. This was the last presentation and I want just to say some last things. I share my video. Just I want to thank again our sponsor, that is the journal Bioengineering of MDPI, and I invite you to submit the extent. Oh. Okay. Okay, and so I want to thank this journal for the sponsorship, and I want to invite you to submit the extended version of your paper to this special issue that is directly linked to this workshop. You will receive soon invitation mail to submit to this special issue. We are honored to have host this special issue and also to have you in this workshop. We want to thank you.
We want to thank you for your contributions, for your participations, and to
we hope to see you soon
to the second edition of the Affective Health workshop. So I think Professor Merla, if you want to add something.
No, that's all, folk. Yeah, see you next year with another version of this workshop.
Okay.
Thank you for the organization, and thanks to the IEEE for hosting.
Yeah. So thank you, and see you soon for the second.
Thank you very
edition.
much.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Let's connect it.
Comunque possiamo